Okay, so first, can you tell me where do you mob on what project in terms of complexity? Maybe if it's not under NDA, in terms of like product and so on, so I can understand better the context. And
Yeah. So recently, I've been mobbing um, in open source,
mm-hmm,
so which is also easier to participate because you have these open mobs. You
mm-hmm,
can just join them. um, but before that, when I started mobbing, I did it in the context of a startup. I was working, I was working in a startup, and
mm-hmm,
we were building a development team. And at some point, I got introduced to the concept
mm-hmm.
and got super excited about it and just started, listening to podcasts and reading all the material,
Yeah,
the stuff from Woody Zoel,
yeah,
Emily Bache, Llewellyn Falco, the guys at Hunter, Chris
yes,
Lucian and Austin Chadwick, all that stuff. Like reading all the books, all all the blogs, and
yeah,
it coincided with building this team, development team,
mm-hmm,
because I was working solo, but then we started interviewing people,
mm-hmm,
and um, it was right about when I learned about the topic, and I had a discussion with the CEO of the startup, and I
mm-hmm.
told him something like right before so we basically we hired two people at the same time. They were supposed to join the team on the
Yeah,
same day. And
okay,
and the week before that, I had a discussion with the CEO, and I told him, you know what? I want when they join, I want the three of us to just work together,
mm-hmm,
instead of separating tasks
yeah,
between everybody. I just want us, and I didn't. I don't think I even said the word mobbing or ensemble, anything like that. I just said something like that, and he was curious and told me like, if you think he really trusted me. So basically, he told me, if you think that's worth trying, go for it. It sounds good to me.
mm-hmm,
And this is how it started. So
okay,
yeah, for me at least. And this team, um, we had many challenges actually, also around mobbing.
mm-hmm,
But finally, I really felt that it was the most successful impact I've ever had on a development team in my career. Basically, I've been trying, um, leading and coaching teams for a long time.
mm-hmm,
Um, and this specific team, I felt what was like the most impact I could I could do, and I really think mobbing had a key role in that.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was my first experience mobbing, which was super successful. I mean, for me, from my point of view.
Mm-hmm. And what challenges did you go through?
So it was new to everybody,
Uh-huh.
including myself, and including the developers, and including the organization around us. So management, the product team, the other development teams. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so basically we had to learn it as we go.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to do it slowly and put an emphasis on learning as much as we could
Mm-hmm.
right from the get-go. So, for example, we had dedicated learning time daily. So the people on the team had 1 hour a day just dedicated to learning, and they could choose like whatever they want to study.
Mm-hmm.
They can do it, like no restriction.
Mm-hmm.
And also during the mobbing sessions, uh, the emphasis was always on learning and less on getting things done.
Okay.
Um, so so that helped, but still, um, I couldn't be there all the time. Basically, I was working part-time in this team.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Mm-hmm.
I was the team leader, but I was on a part-time job, so I was like working maybe 2 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and the other people were working full-time. So I was not there with them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes they had to pair. Like
Okay.
sometimes we were mobbing, the three of us, and sometimes they were pairing. And actually,
Okay.
pairing has more challenges than mobbing, in my opinion. It's a bit more intense,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more emphasizing the relationship between two people.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in a mob, things go a bit smoother when you have a bit more people in the room.
Yeah.
So at one point, one of the developers decided to leave, actually. So that
Oh,
was very, yes, that was very, it was very surprising, but that was the most dramatic thing that happened around mobbing.
that was
Uh,
because of the mobbing, or
he never told me.
okay.
I don't know. So I can't really say. I don't want to speak for him, but I guess that yes, I guess that mobbing had a lot to do with it because it's so intense.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, so he decided to leave, and then we had to make some changes, and we decided to keep mobbing. So we got some more developers in the team, and
Mm-hmm.
we formed a new team with some new developers, and
Yeah.
just continued with that practice. And after that uh, dramatic event, uh, which was like shocking to everybody. Um, After that, the team got into a more of a flow.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Some I don't know somehow, and
Yeah.
maybe it had to do with a bit more experience. So it was like already 1 or 2 months into working as a mob.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know why,
Yeah.
but then basically the second take two,
Yeah.
was much smoother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we had a great time, and like the atmosphere was amazing, and the developers really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. So, and maybe
And
people were
I personally, I fell in love with. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And maybe people were more used to like uh, collaborating together or just preferred cooperating together than working alone. So that made things stick. But yeah.
yeah, for sure. For sure it has to do with the like the personal tastes
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
of the people involved, for sure.
And have you tried mobbing for other activities besides code, besides writing code?
Actually, yeah, most of the time it's code,
Mm-hmm.
but so I tried mobbing on documentation, for example, which is a bit different.
Okay.
And we also mobbed on emails.
Okay.
We wrote these status emails to the company,
Yeah.
like weekly updates,
Yeah.
we call them, and we did that together. Um, but most of the mobbing I did was around
Mhm.
software. Yes.
Okay. And was mobbing on documentation or emails much different? Are there any specifics, or it was like?
Well, I think we still emphasized the strong style of navigator
Mm-hmm.
typer
Mm-hmm.
style. Um, we try to keep this even when we do other things than software. So even in the email, we had one person typing and the other person expressing what they would like to see in the email, and then we rotate.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it worked great. Yes.
Okay. Good.
I do
And
think, I mean,
yeah.
I'm thinking about emails. I'm kind of a perfectionist when I write emails, also when I write software. So I'm thinking, I'm reminded that it's not easy to like to have somebody else type the email, and it's not
Yeah.
the exact phrasing, and it's not the exact style that you have
Yeah.
in mind. Um, so for me, for example, I felt like I had to let go a little bit of my perfectionism, or I don't know,
Yeah.
and for the sake of it to be a real team effort.
Okay.
And that was not easy for me. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's I suppose other people in the mob also had some difficulties initially or personal specifics that they had to either to basically work with and understand, probably overcome in the process.
Yes.
Uh,
All of us. All of
yeah,
us. As I said, it was new to all of us.
yeah.
Yeah. So for example, the thing about navigating from the level of the intent, for
Mm-hmm.
example,
Mm-hmm.
that was a challenge. I constantly people were trying to navigate at the detail level. So
Ah,
like type this and type that, and instead of saying this is what I would like to have in the code
uh-huh.
first. So that was a challenge. That that was a challenge for months,
Okay.
for a long time. Yes. Another thing that I think we didn't do quite well was the rotations. So a lot of the time, so many times in a mob, you
Mm-hmm.
have a situation where one person feels comfortable with the context
Mm-hmm.
and another person feels less comfortable,
Yeah.
like they're less familiar with this area of the code, or maybe we are working on front end and we have one person who feels that they are less capable in front end for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And in those situations, it's easy to say, okay, I know about this, so I will navigate. Or the
Mm-hmm.
other way around, I don't feel so comfortable in this area, so please you navigate.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget to rotate, to
Uh-huh.
allow everybody to like to share the burden, basically, to
Yeah.
have everybody try. So even if you are not super familiar, you should still try to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as I said, I mean,
So we could
we are here to learn,
yeah.
right? Uh, and I think we didn't do that so well in that team. So I saw this pattern repeating itself where people who didn't feel comfortable, they just, okay, I will type. I don't want to navigate. I will just talk. You tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I wish we did differently. That team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what what benefits did you see come with mobbing? Like
It's endless. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the benefits so much outweigh the challenges. It's like it was overwhelming.
okay.
I mean, one thing, for example, is that you could really see a learning curve, very
Mm-hmm.
steep learning curve. So these guys on the team, they were not familiar with any of the XP practices. Like
Mm-hmm.
TDD, for example, refactoring, code
Yeah.
smells, all that stuff, continuous integration, thin vertical slicing, all that stuff.
Okay.
Um, and slowly, 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 but very quickly. Yeah, when you look at it on a daily basis, it feels slow, but actually, looking back, you understand how fast the team learns.
Okay.
So so we adopted like some testing, how do you say, strategies,
Mm-hmm.
and then we adopted more and more of a TDD kind of style of work,
Mm-hmm.
and we learned to slice the work very thin,
Yeah.
and we learned to discuss with the product team
Mm-hmm.
and like all sorts of things. And this is in the course of just a few months, you could really see people going from unfamiliar with unit testing
Mm-hmm.
to doing TDD and having uh, participating and taking ownership in
Mm-hmm.
discussions with the product team.
Mm-hmm.
So this journey
Yeah.
was amazing. I never saw that before, basically. I never saw such a
Okay.
big change in such a short time.
Okay.
But also the other stuff. I mean, you probably know. So, for example, we didn't use pull requests, no code review.
Mm-hmm.
We you only work on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, you are never blocked. You are never waiting.
Mm-hmm.
You're just constantly delivering. I mean, also if you combine this with thin vertical slicing,
Yeah.
basically what happens is that you are constantly delivering features,
Yeah.
small features, but you're constantly delivering them. That's a huge benefit. And I think mobbing really helps with that. It helps because it implies a single item
Single piece
stream.
workflow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
single piece workflow. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
A work in progress of one. A lot of benefits just come from this.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
Good. And was there anything that actually became worse?
So for sure, the story about the developer that left,
Mm-hmm.
that was um, that was difficult to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. I mean, I heard Chris Lucian say on the podcast that mobbing amplifies everything. So
Yeah.
I wonder if he just left earlier
Yeah.
than he would have left if we didn't do mobbing. So
Uh-huh.
like I don't know. You can't say, but for sure, if you have like personal issues or any kind of issues really,
Mm-hmm.
for example, if you have misalignment on the design of the code or whatever, if you mob,
Mm-hmm.
you get to see that immediately
Yeah.
and in person,
Yeah.
as opposed to working solo. Um, so it really amplifies these kinds of uh, conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say that's a huge challenge. But
Yeah.
then, because the benefits so much outweigh the negatives,
Mm-hmm.
what I think is we should just strive to a better collaborative process that allows for conflicts to happen and
Mm-hmm.
allows for people to express their emotions, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And and have the processes to deal with it as a team. Instead of like when we're working solo, it's easy
Yeah.
to just keep it inside, right?
Yeah.
It's easier. But when you're in a mob, at some point, the conflict will get you.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to get better at having those discussions and allowing everybody to feel part of the process, etc.
Okay.
So putting an emphasis on learning and but also on psychological safety
Mm-hmm.
makes it possible. Yeah.
And, and can you suggest some practices for that, like, or facilitation techniques for handling such situations, or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing I was trying to do,
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes successfully, sometimes not, is um, to allow all the voices to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And also to allow them, like, so for example, if somebody has an idea,
Mm-hmm.
um, let's have it. So let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if everything is expressed as kind of an experiment,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, let's try. Let's try this approach. Let's try this design.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you might be surprised, and it really does work, even if you
Okay.
thought it didn't. But
Okay.
also, I think the most important thing is that everybody gets a voice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like trying to refrain from a single point of like a single decision maker, or maybe the senior person decides,
Mm-hmm.
or this kind of communication style. Instead, invite all the voices to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, it's better. It's
Yeah.
better for. I mean, it might be that it's actually the wrong design decision, for example, to
Mm-hmm.
go that way. But you must allow it. You have to allow it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's not easy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cultural thing you should try to establish
Mm-hmm.
in the team. We will try your idea. We will always try your idea,
Mm-hmm.
and together we will decide. Maybe it was a mistake, maybe not. Maybe it was good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a challenge. That's but super important, super important emphasis.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember having these discussions one on one with the
Mm-hmm.
developers and constantly telling them. I had to reiterate this idea over and over. I had to say, we want your inputs.
Yeah.
This is why we hired you. We hired you because we want your ideas, we want your insights,
Mm-hmm.
we want your contributions. So, and we really do.
Mm-hmm.
And and even more than that, if you have um, how do you say I'm losing the word for that.
Uh,
Like maybe like a critical thought, like
uh-huh. Okay.
like you think something should be different, or
Yeah.
something is bothering you.
Yeah.
That in that case, it's even more important for your voice to be heard,
Mm-hmm.
because the most important thing is that we want everybody to be basically we want teamwork. We want real teamwork.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So real teamwork means everybody participates.
Mm-hmm. And that
And
makes the process feel slow initially, because I suppose you have lots of discussions, lots of experiments, and uh, something simple can take a whole mobbing session to be implemented, but it's higher quality after that.
It's not even necessarily high quality, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What you gain from that is that the sense of a team.
Aha, okay.
That's what I'm thinking. Yes, at
Okay.
the end, you get higher quality.
Mm-hmm.
I really do believe that. But
Mm-hmm.
first, before the quality, you have to establish the team.
Okay.
Like everybody's voice is invited. Not invited, like it's required.
Mm-hmm.
um, and you know, people come from all kinds of organizational cultures,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't they, they don't necessarily feel comfortable sharing their ideas and their concerns and doubts, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt with this team that I had to reiterate and encourage them time
Yeah.
and time again
Mm-hmm.
by words, but also later when they did come with ideas, we would actually do them.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember one time uh, that I'm very proud of. It, I think it was after just a few weeks of mobbing,
Yeah.
one of the developers said to me, "You know, I think we are not taking enough breaks."
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
like I feel like when we are not taking breaks,
Yeah.
we are getting more and more upset and angry.
Okay.
Like the emotions rise, and we lose patience.
Yeah.
And I think we should take more frequent breaks. And I was just amazed. I was amazed by this input. And
Okay.
he was telling this to me, like I was the team leader, and he was coming to me, you know, I noticed that you were losing patience,
Okay.
and you should take more breaks, he was saying. we should take we should take more breaks for you. And I was just really I was blown away by this. I was so proud uh, because I, I felt it's so important that he feels comfortable
Mm-hmm.
and that basically he believes that
Mm-hmm.
whatever he will say, we will listen to it
Mm-hmm.
and we will also act on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he wouldn't believe that, he wouldn't even say that
Yeah.
say that thought. And this developer was not speaking out at first. So
Mm-hmm.
I was so proud.
Oh,
And
that's
yeah,
great.
of course, we started having more breaks during sessions, and also noticing when we lose patience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these kind of things really um, make a difference.
Yeah.
But I think like the basis was that he felt that his voice is important, his voice
Mm-hmm.
is heard,
Yeah.
and that we will actually listen and act. Yes. That was the basis. And then on top of that, you can build anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, that's quite interesting. And this was kind of this was part of a retrospective or like a regular one-on-one?
So we had regular retrospectives, but
Uh-huh.
this was just like today I know how to call it, like a micro retro.
Yeah, okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
we didn't have the vocabulary to
Uh-huh.
even say that. He was just saying that. He was just we were done with a session
Yeah.
and we didn't do a retro for some reason. I don't remember. And we just went on a break, like
Hmm.
to have coffee or something.
Yeah,
And he told me, like during the break.
I see. Okay.
And so it was like out of structure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And but do you usually do retrospectives?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I do feel that retros are so retros I felt were important even before I
Yeah,
discovered mobbing.
yeah.
Um, and doing more of them,
Mm-hmm.
much more of them,
Mm-hmm.
uh, became possible
Mm-hmm.
with the mob. Like when I worked in teams that were working solo,
Yeah,
you are not doing retros every hour, right? Or every 2 hours, or every day.
yeah.
Uh, when you are mobbing, this becomes possible and also easier.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's easier to reflect on the past 10 minutes
Yeah,
than than to reflect on the past hour than it is to reflect on the past day, etc.
yeah, yeah.
So why not? It's like you get you get it for free basically because everybody's already there,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to schedule. You don't. um, you just say let's have a retro.
uh, Whenever someone says, or you have like a regular interval for retros.
So yeah, when we experimented with that, um, so sometimes it we for we didn't put enough emphasis on retros, and then somebody would say, you know what? It's been a long time since we retroed, and I feel I have so many things to share, right?
Okay,
It's like uh, so that's kind of a bad sign.
okay,
I, I think like that means yes, we haven't retroed enough. And
okay.
other times in the team, we just we thought in terms of sessions. So for example, we had the morning session.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So and we tried keeping I don't remember, it was it was a long time ago. It's like it was a year ago. So I'm trying to remember. I think we tried keeping maybe 20 minutes for retro
Mm-hmm.
at the end of this session.
Okay. Like after the
Today,
morning session, you have 20 minutes for a retro, and after the afternoon session, again 20 minutes.
yes. Also
Okay.
because the team was kind of the team had a very large variety of people. So for example, me,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't participating in all the sessions because I worked part-time.
Okay. Yeah.
I was there only like, I don't know, for 3 sessions a week.
Yeah.
So I don't want to lose the retro. I want to like I want to be there for a full kind of full
Mm-hmm.
cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, like kind of short planning, then mobbing, then retroing,
Yeah.
something like that. Um, so I think maybe that's why we had this kind of cadence. We started talking in sessions.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That,
then I
yeah.
mean later now I join mobs where sometimes the retro takes longer than the coding does.
Wow.
Yeah, which is super interesting. You would, I mean, you would imagine like how much insights could you have, and it actually takes like if you really allow it, you really allow and you really invite
Yeah.
all the insights, all the inputs, all the discussions to happen.
Yeah.
It actually takes longer to retro than to code.
Okay.
But you really have to have, I think, like a special. I guess you really have to want it. You have to want to hear all the thoughts and think about them and consider them.
Mm-hmm. And
And
not feel
it's
pressured by time, I suppose.
yes, and really put the emphasis on learning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the primary reason we are here. Yes, We want to ship code. We do
Yeah.
that. We do that first. We ship the code. Like we
Yeah.
work for maybe a few hours, we ship some code. But then we want to learn.
Yeah.
And maybe it takes even longer and then shipping the code.
Yeah, I see.
But in the
Okay.
long run, you actually get much better. You constantly get better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's quite interesting. And actually the way you framed it, like you do a little planning, you write the features and then do a little and do a retrospective. Sounds like a micro sprint to me. Like each mobbing session is a micro iteration on the product, and you don't have, yeah. So that was an interesting analogy. Uh,
I think this pattern
mm-hmm,
of um, planning,
mm-hmm,
doing, and reflecting back,
mm-hmm.
um, this pattern actually is everywhere. It's
Yeah,
like it's not necessarily about software, not about work. It's
yeah,
just everywhere in life we have these cycles, and these cycles can be like
yeah.
30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe I plan what I want to say, and then I say it, and then I think, did I did I really convey what I wanted to say? So that's a really short cycle,
Yeah,
and it can be like a yearly thing. You can have like I'm planning next year, I don't know, to travel over there,
yeah,
and then I do that. I'm in doing mode, and
yeah.
then at the end I reflect back. So I think these cycles happen everywhere, and it's a good model to have.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we don't do it formally, like we don't have like let's have a planning session for the breakfast. Yes.
Yeah,
um, but you do plan the breakfast, right?
yeah, yeah. Of course.
you, um, you, there is some kind of plan. Of course, every plan is, you know the saying, but yeah.
Okay, and do you usually mop in the like the driver navigator setup, or you experiment with other setups also?
Most of my experience has
Mm-hmm.
been with that, like strong style navigation,
Mm-hmm.
where the driver typer typist
Yeah.
person, they try to refrain from thinking and from uh, directing
Mm-hmm.
where we're going. And we have
Mm-hmm.
another person called the talker, or the voice, or the navigator,
Mm-hmm.
that he's the one, they're the one directing what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So this is most of the mobbing I did used this strong style.
Mm-hmm.
Um, didn't do a lot of experimentation around that.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, sometimes you get like intuitively what happens in a mobile is like, of course, anybody can speak, right? Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
democracy. so so sometimes what happens is that we break this pattern,
Uh-huh.
and and so I've seen that, and it was super fine. Like somebody has a different idea,
Yeah.
so maybe he's taking a part in navigation,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe he would navigate the navigator.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I've seen that, but most of the time it's just strict one voice and one typist,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and it works great. Yes, but I'm actually very curious. Yeah, I heard of mobs that are less strict,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe if you have like four mobbers and one typist, and all the mobbers are navigating.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I've heard that, but I didn't try it, and I'm curious. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
curious to see.
yeah. And if you've come across the role-playing game of mobbing, uh, there are lots of options there, but I think they're mostly about experimenting, and I
Right.
haven't heard anyone use something else than the driver navigator setup. So
Hmm.
uh, it probably is the most useful one, but you never know.
You're right. Yes, you never know.
Yeah, yeah. And how many people are usually in the mob?
Um, so that mob we had in the startup,
Mm-hmm.
we were flowing between a pair
Okay.
and like the maximum was I think 5 people,
Okay.
and most of the time we were 3.
Okay.
So it was a mob. I consider this to be a small mob,
Yeah.
but in other mobs I'm participating.
Mhm.
I've participated in mobs of I think up to maybe 9 people.
Wow.
Um, yes, yeah. It totally, it's very different dynamic.
Okay.
Much more, many more voices
Mm-hmm.
in the mob. So it feels like you need to be more aware
Mm-hmm.
of when to speak and when not to speak,
Okay.
because it's easy to get the whole conversation
Mm-hmm.
to with like too many voices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you have 9 people instead of 3 people, you should still be feel free to speak, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe you need to think like when is the right time to say something, or maybe
Yeah.
is it important enough to say. It's like these nuances are very interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, definitely it feels different.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice, like the more people you have, you should probably shorten the rotation
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in order to get to some kind of flow feeling. So
Okay.
with 9 people, for example, I would do 2 minutes rotation,
Mm-hmm.
very short.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with 3 people, I guess 4 minutes
Mm-hmm.
is fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Good. And what's the experience of the individuals?
in the team.
Yeah, in the team.
So the team in the startup had all sorts of experience. Um, None of us, as I said, none of us had experience with mobbing,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the people were not experienced with XP practices like
Mm-hmm.
TDD. Um, but they did have experience coding.
Yeah.
Um,
Like senior level or
mm,
junior, mid?
I think mid.
Mm-hmm.
I would say mid. Yes. Yeah, we did have one very senior person join from time to time, which was cool. um, he wasn't there all the time. He was also working part time.
Uh-huh.
So it was like kind of a fluid team. So we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a constant number of people and experience levels in the
Yeah.
same team. So every day was a bit different,
Okay.
which was also I think a challenge, but mobbing helps.
Yeah, yeah, because uh, you can give the context to the new person who joins.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, for example, I was working part-time, and so
Yeah.
I could join the mob
Yeah.
even though I wasn't there like maybe a few days.
Mm-hmm.
I'm joining the mob, and like it just takes a few minutes for me to understand. Ah, okay, this is where we're at. This is what you guys did. This is what we're
Yeah.
doing now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to navigate.
Good. And what's your setup in terms of hardware? Do you rely
Mm.
on any specific cameras, mics, internet connection, or you let people
Oh
choose
yeah,
whatever?
we had issues with that
Oh,
actually.
okay.
So one thing we did, which I think was a good idea. So right from the first day of the
Mm-hmm.
mob, we were working solely on Gitpod. Are you familiar with Gitpod?
No.
It's a cloud-based development environment. Basically,
Okay.
we were not developing on our machines
Okay.
at
I'll check
all,
that.
at all. So we were doing all the development on a cloud-based development environment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's kind of similar to mobbing in the sense that um, onboarding
Mm-hmm.
is seamless because
Mm-hmm.
there's already like the machine already is already working. It already has all the dependencies,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like so
Yeah.
it's like mobbing but for development environments. You
Yeah.
don't have to set up a specific machine in order to work. It works already,
Yeah.
and whomever joins the mob gets access to the workspace or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We just have this process, and it works immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So that was helpful in terms of tools,
Mm-hmm.
super helpful. And yeah, one challenge we had is that the office had very, very bad internet.
Okay.
Like, so we established this rule where,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's either the whole team is at home
Yeah.
working from home, or the whole team is in the office working together. Because if one of us was in the office and the other people were at home,
Yeah.
the connection was too bad. We
Yeah.
couldn't work.
Yeah.
So that was very like annoying thing.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, the rule was it's either everybody's at home or everybody's in the office. And
Yeah.
at some point, we just had like one day a week, everybody comes to the office, and 4 days a week, everybody works from home or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Okay. Okay. And
that was interesting.
so basically Gitbot solved all the issues with the rotation because some teams use teamwork sessions or
Yeah,
client or desktop sharing or Gitmob and so on.
yeah, yeah. We didn't do that. We didn't do the how do you call that? Handover when you hand over using the Git, right?
Gitmob, Mob
Yeah,
SA, I think.
yeah, Gitmob. Yes, we didn't need that basically because we had a single workspace
Mm-hmm.
and everybody has access to it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that it's not like a Google Doc
Yeah.
where, like, when I type, you don't see it immediately
Yeah.
on your side. So the way we did the rotation is just the type the typer would share the screen every time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's the rotation basically. You need to share your screen when you're typing,
Yeah.
and everybody needs to shift now their focus to your screen share.
Yeah.
That's the rotation.
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
it's it's kind of easy.
Yeah. I
It's not a big deal, but it's different than other setups. So I've seen, for example, using a cloud machine where
mm-hmm.
and everybody's remote remote connecting to it, like using
Yeah.
something like AnyDesk, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't have to share your screen because everybody's just looking at the same screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're looking at the same machine, and but with Gitpod, you are looking into the same workspace,
Mm-hmm.
but you have your own IDE kind of.
Yeah.
So it's not an immediate feedback. So when you type a word in the editor, you don't see it immediately
Yeah. Yeah.
on the other person. So you need to share your screen.
I see.
And
I see.
maybe they will change that in the future. I'm guessing. I feel like it's going in that direction, like where
Mhm.
everything looks just like Google Docs. Like,
Yeah, yeah, of course,
uh,
because of collaboration. So.
yeah, I think it's going in that direction, but currently I think it's not there yet.
Mhm. Okay, okay, good. So these were all the topics I was interested in, but if you have something else to say or to share something like personal opinion on
Mhm.
the topic, that now's the time to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I wasn't clear enough until now, for me, like once I started doing that, basically it's the only way I want to work. Um, so yeah, it's that impactful.
Yeah,
It's that important, I think.
okay.
I'm like I'm an evangelist, I think. So everybody I talk to, I try to. Have you heard about mobbing?
Yeah,
Uh,
hopefully more and more people will start hearing about this. So,
I, I actually think so. For example, what you're doing is very, very helpful. But I
mm,
really feel also the community is growing,
mhm,
the practice is growing
yeah,
and becoming more and more mature, like understanding the limitations and the impact, etc.
mhm,
I'm very, very hopeful, and I look forward to the day where this is like the default
yeah.
for development teams.
Yeah, let's hope. Currently in Bulgaria, the people don't know about mob programming,
Mhm.
and with whoever I talk, they hear it for the first time. But
Yes.
for example, in my company, people get quite interested in the topic, even though they're skeptical whether it will work or not. But I think that's natural. So.
Yeah. 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 I relate because uh, I'm having the same kind of discussions.
Mhm.
Yeah, with people. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. So thank you a lot. I'd be happy to hear about these open mobbing sessions and
Yeah,
how
sure.
even
I will share with you. Of
yeah,
course.
okay, great. And thank you again and have a
Thank
great
you very
day.
much. Great work.
Thank you, you too. Okay, bye and have fun.